I'm Katie Couric. Tonight it's an all-out battle against the worst of nature.
The elements are conspiring against us.
Strong winds and dry air feed the wildfires in the American West, while flooding leaves thousands homeless in Britain.
I believe that this is a war.
A war that's claimed so many innocent victims, they even have their own memorial.
When you see this wall, what do you think?
Another mother crying.
And a presidential debate that features people like you on the tube.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Hello, everyone. We're beginning tonight with extreme wet weather causing havoc in this country and all around the world. Drought and strong winds are hampering the fight against wildfires in the West. There are now 45 major fires burning in 11 states. They could use what parts of Texas have too much of: rain. As much as 17 inches over the weekend has several rivers at or near flood stage tonight. And in England, still more flooding, the worst in 60 years, and some rivers are still rising. Hundreds of people had to be rescued. We'll have more about that in a moment, but first, here's Sandra Hughes on those western fires.
In Utah, 4 fires have blazed through 51,000 acres, and now concerns that thunderstorms could fan the flames, with wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour.
They said if it hits that grass that it could be here in about 12 minutes.
The fires burning in 9 western states have scorched 1.5 million acres. Officials have the nation at its highest preparedness level, with foreign and National Guard resources ready to move in.
I don't know that there has been a time in recent history that our resources have been stretched this thin.
And now the U.S. Forest Service is battling itself over whether its firefighters are facing too much danger during increasingly intense wildfire seasons. In fact, the average number of firefighter deaths is rising, from fewer than 6 per year in the 40s to more than 20 per year this decade. 5 firefighters died while protecting an uninhabited vacation home in last year's Esperanza wildfire. A federal investigation found a Forest Service culture that accepts notably higher risk for structure protection. All this sparked a review of Forest Service guidelines, which could potentially force firefighters to take fewer risks when trying to save homes.
They cannot walk away from structures that are burning. These are people's homes.
Terry McHale of the California Firefighters Union says the real problem is not reckless firefighting, but risky home building. In California alone, more than 6 million homes sit in high fire zones. The guideline review won't be completed until the peak of fire season this fall. Until then, fire officials will resort to reminding crews that no home is worth dying for. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Now to the floods. After a weekend deluge, a number of rivers in central Texas are at flood stage or expected to crest soon. But in southern Texas, floodwaters are receding in communities west of San Antonio. Homeowners have already started to clear away the mud and repair the damage. But overseas, the flooding in southern England is only getting worse. The Thames and other rivers keep rising as the English try to ride out the worst flooding since World War II. Elizabeth Palmer has the latest.
There's a battle underway in Britain tonight, and the enemy is water. The worst floods in living memory have surged across thousands of square miles, turning towns into lakes and homes into write-offs. But so far, none of it has dampened the British stiff upper lip.
The water comes in, it ebbs a bit, flows a bit, goes, comes back. You just get used to it.
And Britain is going to have to get used to it. Research published today suggests human activity is warming the planet and changing rainfall patterns. Certainly, it's been a freakishly wet summer in this crowded country. Last month, the north of England was underwater. Now it's the south. When a month's worth of rain fell in a single hour last Friday, it submerged large areas around the Severn, the Avon, and now the Thames rivers. Flash floods trapped hundreds of people in their homes and their cars. The Royal Air Force hoisted the desperately stranded to safety. Rescue crews are fighting to keep rising water from shutting down electrical plants, but already thousands of people are without power or clean drinking water. Here on the banks of the River Thames, the floodwaters are still rising. In fact, peak high water isn't expected until sometime tomorrow. And meanwhile, the forecast, more rain. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
In other overseas news, the United States and Iran will be talking tomorrow about the war in Iraq when they hold their second face-to-face meeting in 2 months. The Bush administration has accused Iran of fueling the violence by arming militants. Meanwhile, 4 apparently coordinated car bombs in Baghdad today killed at least 16 people in the Shiite district of the capital. 3 more American soldiers and a Marine were also killed in Iraq. It was also a very bad day for the U.S. military in Afghanistan. 4 Americans were among 6 NATO soldiers killed. The Americans were on a combat patrol in the eastern province of Paktika when their vehicle hit a roadside bomb. And now an update on a story Armin broke back in May about the health problems of Katrina refugees living in FEMA trailers. Congress heard reports last week that thousands of the trailers contain dangerously high levels of formaldehyde. But today, FEMA said it will continue to sell and donate the trailers while government health officials test them. There is much more CBS News ahead, including tonight's presidential debate. John and Jane Q. Public asked the questions on YouTube. But up next, a violent crime wave in America's big cities will take you tonight to a city under siege. Violent crime in America is on the rise, and Attorney General Alberto Gonzales will appear before Congress tomorrow to push for passage of a new anti-crime bill. It would, among other things, toughen federal gun laws. The problem is the worst in our biggest cities, where murders last year jumped more than 6.5%. In San Diego, they were up 33%. Houston, nearly 13%. And New York, more than 10%. In Philadelphia, murders were up close to 8%. And just yesterday in the city of brotherly love, 5 people were shot to death, bringing the murder total for this year to 232. National correspondent Byron Pitts is on the battle line in Philadelphia, where, to gain access to some of the people in this report, he's had to conceal their identities.
This is North Philadelphia,
This is a block we had troubles killing last week.
where life is often short.
She was 18 years of age. She got murdered.
Illegal handguns are cheap.
I'm sorry, bro. What is that?
This right here, this is good old nice something to keep me going every day. You know what I'm saying? Keep them off me.
The kids call it strapping. Social scientists call it urban genocide, where children run the street and adults have run out of answers. Since the year 2001, there have been 10,000 shooting victims in Philadelphia, most of the gunmen under the age of 25. North Philadelphia is where most of the city's murders have occurred. The unemployment rate, the school dropout rate, the highest right here. Here, where residents, community activists, even the police commissioner concede they are waging a war, and they are losing badly. Community activist Mel Wells.
I believe that this is a war that we never was.
Come on now, a war? I mean, Afghanistan's a war. Iraq is a war.
We had 2 weeks ago, we had a grandma was going to church. We had a brother walking out of a bar. We had a lady trying to get up to Temple Hospital to see her mother in the hospital. All them dead today. All them dead today. Yes, I do call that type of things a war.
Philadelphia Police Commissioner Sylvester Johnson.
I hesitate to ask this question, but in your estimation, is it an urban problem? Is it a black problem?
Well, I can only speak for Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is definitely a black problem because 85% of the people who are being killed, close to 80%, are Afro-American males.
Look at the murder rate the past 5 years, from 288 in 2002 to 406 last year, and this year nearly 1 murder a day and counting. Johnson has been a cop in Philly 43 years. He speaks with the bluntness of a man retiring in 5 months.
Traditional policing is not working. That's just my opinion. And traditional policing is only locking people up. That is not the only answer.
The commissioner and others make the familiar argument. Tougher gun laws, better education, better jobs would make the difference.
So you're telling me if all these guys had a job, they would get rid of their guns and everyone would live happily ever after?
I'm not saying that every single guy would get rid of his gun. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that when you could put the money in the right place to start trying to help fix this problem, then you have something for these guys to step up to. Long as you trying, you got something to go for.
Mel Wells runs a social services program in North Philly his father started nearly 20 years ago called One Day at a Time. It helps nearly 55,000 ex-offenders, former addicts, and others every year. We spoke beneath the wall, a memorial to the 406 people, 25 of them children, murdered in Philadelphia last year.
When you see this wall, what do you think?
Another mother crying.
As for those who do the shooting, there are a few tears.
Really dangerous around here, man.
This 19-year-old was just released from jail after shooting another teenager 4 times.
Do you carry it just sometimes, some neighbor?
I can't. Every day, everywhere I go, I got it. Everywhere. Everywhere. I can't go nowhere without it. Nowhere.
What kind of life is that?
Bad. Even dead or in jail, that's what type of life it is.
I'm sorry?
Either dead or in jail.
Either dead or in jail.
Life in a neighborhood where too often manhood is measured not by character, but by the caliber of a gun. Byron Pitts, CBS News, North Philadelphia.
And in part 2 of Byron's report, possible solutions to Philadelphia's crime problem that could very well affect cities all across the nation. That's tomorrow here on the CBS Evening News, as well as the early show. In other news tonight, those new iPhones may be susceptible to hackers. A security company says it found a flaw in the phone's web browser that could let hackers make calls, send text messages, and access contact information, costing consumers money and their privacy. Still ahead, soft drinks and your health, why soda is now being linked to heart disease. The results came back today from President Bush's colonoscopy, and the news is good, no cancer. Doctors found 5 small polyps in his colon during the procedure on Saturday, but tests show they were all benign. Now to the health of all of us. On average, we Americans drink 52 gallons of soda a year, about 20 ounces every day. But a report tonight says that may be bad for our hearts. Here's our medical correspondent, Dr. John LaPook.
Meredith Wise was hooked on soda. 8 glasses a day, every day.
My blood pressure went high, and I felt very racy and dehydrated.
While no one confuses soda with a health drink, it turns out drinking more than 1 soft drink a day, regular or diet, may be associated with an increased chance of developing diabetes, heart disease, and stroke.
This may be a reflection of a lifestyle or a dietary pattern. It's also possible that it may have something to do with the content of the soda itself.
Scientists at the Framingham Heart Study followed about 3,000 adults to see if drinking soda was linked to metabolic syndrome, a condition that includes increased belly fat, too little good cholesterol, high blood sugar, and hypertension. The study, released today, found that adults drinking 1 or more soft drinks a day were 48% more likely to have metabolic syndrome and 44% more likely to develop it over 4 years than those drinking less than 1 soda.
There's good evidence so far to suggest that sugar-sweetened beverages increase the risk of obesity and the metabolic syndrome. What's intriguing here is that unsweetened soft drinks were similarly associated with the development of the metabolic syndrome.
One big question: does diet soda contribute to metabolic syndrome, or are the people drinking it just more likely to engage in unhealthy behavior, like overeating and not getting enough exercise? Meredith Wise has cut her habit significantly. She stopped drinking regular soda and is down to 2 diet ones a day. And it shows. She's dropped 53 pounds.
An obvious next study is to see if patients who lower their diet soda intake are able to lower their risk for all these conditions.
Okay, so John, I'm still a little confused. Is it the soda that puts you at an increased risk, or do unhealthy people just drink a lot of soda?
$1 million question. On the other hand, on the one hand, if you're overweight and you're eating 10 bags of potato chips a day, and you say, I'm going to drink some diet soda to lose weight, there's going to be an association between being obese and having diet soda, but it's not cause and effect. On the other hand, there's some animal data showing that sugar can actually cause changes in the brain that increase your craving for sweets. So maybe a similar thing is happening with diet soda.
Okay. We don't know. More to come. Thanks, John. And one more health story tonight. An outbreak of botulism has led Castleberry's food company to recall 90 brands of canned chili, beef stew, corned beef, and barbecue products. It has also closed its Georgia production plant. 16 cans of chili sauce tested positive for botulism. 4 people were diagnosed with the disease. They're expected to survive. Botulism, by the way, can cause paralysis if it's not treated. We have a sad update now on Lara Logan's exclusive report from Iraq last month. She told you how U.S. and Iraqi troops had rescued 24 horribly mistreated young boys from an orphanage for special needs children. One of the boys was covered with flies, able to move only his eyes. Tonight, we're sorry to tell you that young Saddam Ali Abbas has died from his many health problems.
Who are your major financial contributors?
My name is Wrinkles. My question is for Hillary Clinton.
Democracy in action. Just some of the video questions the public submitted online for tonight's Democratic presidential debate at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. The internet is changing political campaigns dramatically. Candidates are announcing on the web, running ads on the web, raising money on the web. And now, for the first time, the questions for a debate came from some of you through YouTube.
Are you planning to do anything about our public school system?
The questions are raw, direct, and unedited.
I'm 36 years old and hope to be a future breast cancer survivor.
Online submissions for tonight's CNN YouTube Democratic debate make the internet seem like a model of citizen involvement. But since anyone can upload anything, citizen involvement also means the self-anointed Obama girl, not authorized by the campaign, has gotten more than 2.5 million hits on YouTube.
But the problem is that video makes Barack Obama look sexy and smooth and kind of like a player. That is not the image his management wants him to have.
And there's a Giuliani girl rebuttal. The internet is playing an unprecedented role in this campaign. Every candidate has a huge web presence, including Fred Thompson, who hasn't even announced yet. Many are using it to make themselves seem uber hip in cyberspace. A week after The Sopranos signed off, the Clinton campaign posted this takeoff. But citizen journalists and viral videos also make politicians fair game 24/7. Whether it's a candidate who's comedically challenged,
that old Beach Boys song, Bomberan. Bom, 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 bom. Anyway.
Or musically challenged. Clinton's online appeal for campaign song suggestions was so ridiculed, even she mocked it.
I'm so gratified that all of you thought this was such a wonderful idea.
This is ridiculous.
Insulting.
Stupid. Disappointing.
Are you freaking kidding me?
And then, of course, there's the enormous amount of stuff that will simply be embarrassing. My favorite to date was John Edwards primping his hair to the tune of Broadway's I Feel Pretty.
But the attempt by presidential candidates to use and not simply be used by the internet is really paying off, especially for the Democrats. The Obama, Edwards, and Clinton campaigns have raised more than $28 million in online donations this year alone. But the Republican candidates, Giuliani, McCain, and Romney, have raised just half that amount. But Andrew candidates' use of cyberspace says the real million-dollar question is whether any of this will translate into votes.
The holy grail in online campaigning is whether you can convert that online enthusiasm into offline action.
By the way, YouTube got more than 2,000 questions for the debate. From those, CNN chose about 50. And that is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.